Hi, and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today we're going to take a look at part 2 from some audio in our Future Leaders series that we do here at Peterman Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, where we're talking about the law of addition that John Maxwell lays out in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Today we're going to talk in depth a little bit about the 4 guidelines that he lays out and how to help add value to others. He talks about truly valuing others, making ourselves more valuable to others, knowing and relating to what others value, and doing things that God values. Really excited. There's a lot of good information in this as far as kind of personal examples, kind of where I've come from on these, and then also what we're doing as a company to hopefully make these guidelines very apparent and very easy to follow for our leaders. So without further ado, we'll jump into the audio. Hope you enjoy. Thanks. In this chapter, Maxwell lays out the 4 guidelines to help add value to others. So he breaks it down into 4 steps, 4 areas to focus on when you're thinking about adding value to others. First one he talks about is to truly value others. He has a quote in there by Darrell Hartley Leonard, who I believe was the chairman of Hyatt Hotels. And he said, when a person moves into a position of authority, he or she gives up the right to abuse people. Okay, let me think about that. We talked a little bit about it's not about telling people what to do. It's not about browbeating people, telling them they're terrible. Do better next time. Maxwell says leaders go beyond neutral and not harming, they add value. As we said before, you're either subtracting or you're adding. You got 2 choices. There's no neutral. Because if you're simply neutral, floating through, you're not adding, so you must be subtracting, because there's an opportunity to add. Always an opportunity to add. He tells the story, John does, of a guy who used to work in his organization and said that he was his right-hand man, extremely talented guy, but he walked into the office one day and just walked past everybody. Didn't say hi, went straight to his office, shut the door, so on and so forth. John went to him and said, hey, what's up? Why didn't you say hi to anybody? You just kind of scurried on past and went to your office. And the guy said, well, I've got a ton of work to do. I got to get it done. I got a big workload, this, that, and the other. And John said, well, I understand. However, leadership is about people. It's not about mastering a task. It's not about getting everything done. It's not about figuring out something or anything of that nature. It's about people. It's about creating relationships. We oftentimes look at a problem and figure, well, I've been doing this for a heck of a long time. I'll just figure it out. How many problems can you figure out by yourself? There's only so many hours in a day, so there is a number. Some probably can solve more than others, but there is a number on that to which you individually can solve. However, if you view leadership as relationships, as a people game, what if you decided to solve a few less problems and teach somebody else how to solve those problems? Then all of a sudden that knowledge, those questions that you asked somebody else, that self-discovery that they had, ultimately becomes you solving a heck of a lot more problems because you added value to that person. I look at some of our installers, and obviously they're working with a guy for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. And I think they would probably have the best case study on this when it comes to adding value versus telling somebody what to do. Because our good ones, and we have 2 of them here, Our good ones add value all the time. And thus, they're very good at what they do, and you see their people excelling. Because they've added value. They're not just telling them what to do. I'll never, ever forget in my life, I met two of them on a job. It was on a Saturday. We were setting two big rooftop units. We had to do it on a Saturday because it was downtown, commercial area. I had to do it on Saturday, so there wasn't any cars or anything like that. The guys arrive, and I get there. I met the crane there, make sure everything was going good. It was just down the street from my house. And two get out of the truck. I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Helper, hi, how's it going? And then for the next, what seemed like 30 to 45 minutes, the two never spoke. You guys mad at each other? What's going on? No, the apprentice knew exactly what needed to be done. Exactly. To the point where after myself and the lead guy had gotten up on the roof, checked everything out, made sure we weren't going to hit any power lines, so on and so forth, got the crane where it needed to be, all of this, as he came down the ladder, he literally walked right into the next thing that he needed to do. There was no direction given. But he had been trained up until that point on what exactly to do. That's truly valuing others and understanding that they have the capacity to learn so long as we give it to them. Leaders open up that box within people for them to think, for them to get better. That's truly valuing others and their capability. Who they're supposed to be, not who they are now. We have to value them now and understand it's our responsibility to bring them to where they're supposed to be. The second guideline that Maxwell talks about is making ourselves more valuable to others. The more you grow, the more you have to offer. That comes in a couple of different varieties. You know, the more you grow in our industry technically, the more you know how to do. Obviously, the more you can share. But from a leadership perspective, what does that value add look like? What does that growth plan, leadership-wise, look like for you? Do you have one? Do you need one? You see, when you work to develop yourself as a better leader, you'll create better leaders around you. And as we've talked before, leadership is adding value and creating leaders around you. People who can lead themselves and people who want to help others. It's very simple. I help this person, hopefully he helps somebody else. I help her, hopefully she helps somebody else. That's creating leaders around you. Creating people who want to reach out and help because you helped them. Looking at this law, as I've read through the chapter, and I read through it once initially, and then I've probably read through it twice more in preparing for this, just trying to pull out different things. And I just think this is so powerful because it is truly a mindset shift in that, are you willing to take the responsibility for making those that follow you the best version of themselves? That's a deep question. Do you want to do that? Now, I'm not saying to be a leader you have to do that, but I'm saying to be a really good one, you better believe in that wholeheartedly. And I can tell you that if you want to keep growing, buying into that is the way to keep moving forward. Buying into the fact that everyone around you is looking to you to make them the best version of themselves. To me, that's exciting. That's really, really exciting. That through my actions daily, through me reading, through me discovering something and then sharing it with others, I'm going to play a part in who that person eventually becomes. That's exciting to me. No pressure involved. It's not like they need to be that person tomorrow. But I do need to create that relationship with them so that as they move forward in life, as they continue on their journey, I played a role in getting them to where they needed to be. You know, the next law that he talks about, or not law, the next guideline, I should say, that he talks about in the law of addition and adding value to people is know and relate to what others value. To me, a perfect analogy is what we do every day. We have customers, and we try to put together a plan to address what it is our customers value. They value our skill, they value a timely repair, they value fixing something, they value heat, cooling when it's hot out. They value all these things. We know that. They also value other things, being friendly when you walk up to the door, knowing who's coming out to their house before we arrive, walking through a process, going through the agenda, looking at their whole system as opposed to just what we're there for. All of these things we know the customer values. And as leaders, we try to deliver these every single day. Well, as we've talked, the people who follow us, they're our customers too. Our most important customer is the people who work here. It will always be like that. We have to work to understand what individuals value. Everyone has something different. But leadership is relationships. You don't have the same relationship with anybody. Every relationship's different. Well, it's no different in leadership. 5 or 6 people are following you, you're going to have a different relationship with each one of them. They're all going to value something different. Thinking that they all value the same exact thing is a great way to become more of a manager than a leader. Because isn't that what managers do? Well, you guys ought to value us hitting our budget, never deviating from the numbers, and I don't get why you don't understand. Okay, sounds very managerial there. Not real sure how we're going to get there. However, if we do things like we try to do, have everybody take a DISC profile, understand how they learn, understand how they value information coming in, how they value information that they give, sitting down for one-on-one meetings and really digging into what makes you tick, what are you excited about, what keeps you up at night, so on and so forth. Getting to that person and what they value, what motivates them, what would keep them up after work studying, trying to learn some more. What would that look like for that person? It's going to look different for each and every person. John says the key to leadership is listen, learn, then lead. Oftentimes we get that confused, and it's manage, listen when things go wrong, and then manage again. But if we listen first, understand what it is that they need, guess what it's very easy to do? Add value. They'll tell you what adding value looks like. Don't guess. That's hard. Just ask. Then learn how you can do that. And then lead. Because leadership's just helping them out. Helping them get what they value. And then when you maybe stray off that path, listen again. Find out what they're struggling with now. Maybe it's a different issue. Maybe you can help in a different way. Know and relate to what others value. It's key. I was talking before, this meeting with talking about curbside evaluations. That's a perfect opportunity to provide feedback to somebody. Here's where I think you're going wrong. Here's where you could do better. I think there's an opportunity here. You got a lot of knowledge about this, you ought to talk about that. Those are all pieces to the puzzle of listening, learning, and then leading. The last piece to these guidelines is one that, I'll be honest with you, I debated on whether to share or not. Just, this is a guideline that I've always kind of struggled with, I guess you could say. It really wasn't until yesterday when I decided that I was definitely going to, well, actually, I take that back. It wasn't yesterday. It was reflecting this morning and saying, well, I think I have to share this based on a few things that happened yesterday, along with just some self-reflection that I had. And so the one that he has in here, and John was a preacher before he was a leadership coach. And so the fourth is do things that God values. And I'm not a very, I guess you would say, religious person. Grew up Catholic all my life, have since kind of went away from that for whatever reason. And I guess in saying this, I don't mean to get super religious or, up here telling you what's right and wrong. But I think there's some value in this, and I'll share why. I think we could all agree, regardless of religion or where you stand on things or what you believe or anything like that, the premise of just about every religion that I know of is, we all can agree that treating people with respect and helping others is a good thing. That is, that's kind of universal. It's when people treat people wrongly or hurt people that there's a conflict there. So I kind of go off of that premise. And I guess with that, I've always had a lot of self-reflection and things that I go to is they'll ask you, where's your personal life at? Where's your work life? Where's your social life? And then, where's your spiritual life? And I've always strayed away from that. That ain't me. Get away. I don't know anything about that. I don't want to do anything with that. I've got all these other ones. They seem to be in pretty good spots, so I feel like I'm good. And a lot of that I think is probably my personality. I'm a C personality, so just I don't need any touchy-feely stuff. Just give me the facts, and let's just get a bulleted list, and we'll just take care of this. It'll be fine. Don't worry about anything else. That's I don't want to deal with that. And about 6 months ago, I was reading through something or doing something, and it kind of hit me that you don't need to be religious to be spiritual. I don't know why I came to that conclusion, but that's what I kind of thought. And I started to think back, and I was like, well, maybe I am spiritual. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of, do I want to classify myself as that? And I started to think about, okay, well, what are the things that I believe in? What are those things that I hold kind of as true? And I started to think back on actually one of these that I did. It's been a while ago, but Tony Robbins has what he calls the 7 lies that successful people tell themselves. And I'm like, well, I want to be successful. Maybe I'll tell myself these lies. And is that all we have to do? This sounds great. I'm all in. And essentially what he means by lies is things that we believe without knowing that they're entirely true. His 7 lies are everything happens for a reason and it serves us. No such thing as failure. Whatever happens, take responsibility. People are your greatest resource. Work is play. You can't succeed without commitment. Not necessary to understand everything, to be able to use everything. Thought about those things. So, well, I really believe in all of those. But I don't know if they're true. Then I started to connect the dots. Well, that's pretty spiritual. If you believe that those things are true and you live by those things, then maybe you are spiritual. Then I started to look at the things that we do here in the company. And, well, yeah, not, bringing religion into the company, but are we doing really what God values? What we are kind of called here to do? Yeah, we may be. We may be doing that. We don't know if that's true. I think we all hope that that's true. We all hope that what we're doing, our service to others, our getting out of our comfort zone, we all hope that that's what we're supposed to do. I think it is. I'm going to continue to do it. But as I said, I wasn't going to share this because I didn't want to get too deep, too in the weeds when it comes to this, because everybody has kind of a different perspective. But then yesterday, I was having a coffee with a mentor of mine. I call her my mentor, but this is actually the first time I've ever talked to her. I've talked to her through notes and exchanging books and stuff like that, but I've never really talked to her face to face. I call her my mentor because I've always kind of looked up to her. And I had sent her a copy of the book a few weeks back, and we finally connected. And not 5 minutes into this conversation, I kid you not, and again, I told you, I just connected the dots on the spirituality thing maybe 6 months ago. It's fresh in the mind. And she comes with the question of, well, where are you at on your spiritual journey? All righty, well, nice to meet you too. Okay, now it just got real. I've been watching you, and now you're throwing questions at me like this. And I kind of went into what I just told you. Hey, that's funny you asked. 6 months ago, I kind of connected some dots here. I think I may be more spiritual than I first thought, so on and so forth. And she picks up the book, and she goes, you do know that you are doing God's work. I said, well, I appreciate that. I hadn't really thought about it like that. And she said, you're empowering others. Your company's hoping to provide opportunity. You're trying to make this the best place that they've ever worked. That's what this is all about. I said, okay, well, I hadn't really connected it. And I guess if you think about it, it's really hard to connect work, what we call work heating and cooling and plumbing. We're going to come in, fix your pipes, get your heat going, whatever it is. It's really hard to connect that to God's work. I don't know that God ever intended for everybody to have heating and cooling and indoor plumbing. Regardless of your view on God, again, we all agreed that helping others and treating others fairly was a good thing. Is that what we're doing? I think it may be. I think that's what we're actually doing. And the cool part about that is that if we consider what we're doing for 40, 50 hours a week, if we consider that what we've talked about here today as leadership, those 40 or 50 hours of helping others, lifting others up, that really work? It's an interesting question. If you view what you do every single day as adding value to others, is that really work? Now, we've always called it work because that's what you do when you wake up. You go Monday through Friday, you go to work. But if you look at it from a leadership perspective, are you going to work? Or is this yet another platform for you to impact others? We impact others at home. We impact others in our family. We impact others in our social life. But do we view going to work as impacting others? And if we do, is it work? You know, one of the other questions she asked me, and I've been asked this before, and usually come up with some, don't tell the people who asked me this before, usually come up with some answer. Okay, let me think of something cool. But the question, and some of you may have been asked this before in kind of a seminar or, situation, is the question always comes up, what's keeping you up at night? And like I said, I usually make up something at this point in time. It's usually a white lie. It's not going to hurt them, but it's going to answer their question, and I don't really have an answer, so it's just going to be this. Here you go. The manpower and the workforce, and are we going to get these? Whatever sounds good. But recently, as I've kind of thought through this, and really what I told her yesterday, now that I've kind of thought through this, is nothing. Nothing keeps me up. Because I believe that everything happens for a reason, and it serves us. I believe there's no such thing as failure. I believe that whatever happens in life, I'm going to take responsibility for it. I believe that people are my greatest resource. I believe that work is play. I believe that I will succeed because I will commit. And I believe that it's not necessary to understand everything to be able to use everything. I believe all of those things. And thus, what would keep me up at night? I know that when I wake up each morning, my goal is to add value to the people around me. It's to share whatever knowledge I have accrued, to raise them up, to hopefully make them the best version of themselves. That's my goal. So I don't go to bed worrying about anything. If there's one thing that may trickle into my mind, it's, am I adding enough value to the people around me? Because ultimately, that's what's growing this thing. It isn't me. I play a part, but so does everybody. I try to add value so that the people around me can add value to those that I may not get to see on every day. But that's the goal of this whole thing. To bring someone up who just started or new to the industry or in a different role or struggling with something. We just want to help them out. But if you go to bed knowing that that's what you're going to do the next morning, not a whole lot to worry about. The one thing as I was preparing it, I kind of added this morning that I really like is back in September, I believe it was, we were fortunate enough to, the Next Star Super Meeting had Jim Collins, sorry, I lost his name there for a quick second. It's written here right on the paper. Had Jim Collins as the speaker, and he did an entire, it's probably like a 4 to 6 hour seminar. If you know Jim Collins, the author of Good to Great, other great books. He talks about probably one of his more famous concepts is this levels of leadership. He talks about a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then a level 5 leader. And often people look at this as well, I'm a level 2. Well, I'm like a 3, I want to get to a 4. Similar to what we talked about earlier, climbing that ladder, getting to that next spot. And I look at this and I tie this all in with the fact of what is it that we're doing here? Are we serving others? Are we going to work? What is it that we're actually doing? And he deems a level 5 leader as having humility, and they don't seek success for their own glory. Rather, success is necessary so that the team and organization can thrive. That is the definition of a level 5 leader. I looked at that, said, well, that looks more like a choice than it does like a level you achieve. Now, sure, you may look at it from a levels perspective as you're going to have to practice those things. But as far as a level of, well, I got to be a 2, then I got to be a 3, 4, and then, ooh, I'm a 5. I don't think it works like that. There was a lot of people sitting in the crowd when we were doing this, and you could see people. I think there was an exercise in there where you had to rate yourself as like a leader, like what level you were on, and you can like see the people like looking around, like trying to look on over the paper, like, ooh, what are you? You know, what's going on? Well, you're definitely not a 4. Sorry about you. You know, you can just see that going on like around, like it just everybody just like, ooh, really awkward situation. And as I got to thinking about it this morning, this is not a let me move up. This is, well, I've got the opportunity to be a level 5 leader like today. Like today. I don't have to like put in time. I don't have to put in time practicing, but I don't have to put in time to be a level 5 leader. I don't have to put in time to make an impact. I don't have to put in time to put others' interests before myself. I like that. That sounds a lot better. So I just have to make the choice to put others before myself today, and I can be a level 5 leader. All right, Jim, now we're talking. This is good stuff. You don't need a title. You don't need a position. You don't need a whatever the heck you think you need. You don't need anything. All you need is to make the choice to be that leader. To make the choice to follow the guidelines that John set out, to value others, to provide value, to grow yourself. The exciting part is, as it comes full circle and I wrap up today, is that the company here today continues to grow because people put others before themselves. People answer the phones on the weekends. People work after hours to get things taken care of. People come in early. People stay late. People volunteer on things. That is why we grow. We don't have any whiz-bang marketing strategy. We don't have, that's great. Like, are we good at that stuff? Absolutely. But are we always trying to get better? Yes. But the reason that we continue to grow is because we continue to help each other. And the crazy part about that is we have a responsibility to grow. We have a responsibility to grow because we must show others what leadership looks like.